The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. There ain't nothing to it. Any fool can do it. Nobody knows how we got to the top of the hill. But since we're only on our way down, we might as well enjoy the ride. The secret of love is in opening up your heart. It's okay to feel afraid, but don't let that stand in your way. Everyone knows that love is the only road. And since we're only here for a while, we might as well show some style. Give us a smile, isn't it a lovely ride? We keep sliding down, gliding down. Try not to try too hard, it's just a lovely ride. Now the thing about time isn't really real. It's just your point of view. How does it feel for you? Einstein said he could never understand it all. Planets are spinning through space. The smile upon your face. Welcome to the human race. Isn't it a lovely ride? Sliding down, we're gliding down. Try not to try too hard, it's just a lovely ride. Some kind of love arrives. Sliding down, we're gliding down. Try not to try too hard, it's just a lovely ride. The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time.
This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound, dancing, light, and expectation. This day has been waiting for you. This day has been waiting especially for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together, and please rise in body or spirit for our first hymn in the teal or light green hymnal, 1018. Come and go with me.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. Gonna be justice in that land. Justice in that land where I'm bound. Let me hear you singing. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Gonna be singing in that land. Gonna be singing in that land. Singing in that land where I'm bound. So come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. With me to that land where I'm bound.
Good morning. Good morning. Everyone awake? A little bit? Okay. Good. My name is Reverend Joseph Boyd. It's very good to be with you all, especially those who are relatively new. First, second, third time, welcome. You're welcome in this space, and we hope to get to know you better. We have many things that are happening throughout the entire week, even including today, other than Sunday service. So there, I don't know if you noticed some of the goods. For those who are in person in Zoom, you're going to have to imagine. But I can look this way. There's a hallway. And there's some goods. We're looking to donate goods to school-aged children here in Youngstown, Ohio. And they're looking for perishables, looking for hygiene supplies, canned goods, the whole gamut. And today's the last day to donate. So if you happen to have anything, you can drop it off here at UUYO, and we will deliver it to school children here in Youngstown, Ohio. Again, canned goods, hygiene supplies, deodorant, toothbrushes, etc. We all need it, so please do that if you can. For those on Zoom, the same link will get you 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight to a wonderful meditation with Linda Scharf. She has people joining us from all over the world, and you can be one of them. So join Linda Scharf, who is a mindfulness-based teacher. She's actually just about certified. She's through a program at UC Berkeley, and she's in the midst of getting certified. So please join her 7 p.m. this evening. And please join us next Sunday, July 31st. Dr. Homer Warren, I mentioned him last week. I'll mention him again. He's going to be our guest next week. He's a professor emeritus of marketing at Youngstown State University. And we had an interesting walk in Wick Park. And he said, I want to talk to you about consumer consciousness. He said, is there any other way we can live besides consumer consciousness? That we're civilized to see the point of our life as being consumers. And we will compete with each other to consume as much as possible. And he saw, well, maybe there's another way. There's another way to both benefit our economy and benefit our minds and our psyches. So he's going to join us next Sunday, and we'll talk about that. And now I'd like to invite Ryan Striffler for our shout slide.
Hi, I'm Ryan Striefler. For those of you that don't know me, I've been a member of the congregation since 2017. My wife, Justina, and daughter, Delilah. And I teach English at Slippery Rock University over in Pennsylvania. Today, I want to offer, by way of a chalice lighting, a reading from a book by Peter Enns called The Sin of Certainty. I first encountered a new way of processing faith when I was introduced by some friends to the, quote, dark night of the soul, end quote, and two 16th century Spanish mystics, St. John of the Cross and his mentor, Teresa of Avila. The dark night is the unrelenting sense of painful alienation and distance from God felt as distress, anxiety, disappointment, despair, and depression. And I've learned that it's a lot more common among us than we might feel comfortable admitting. Some experience this darkness more intensely than others, some for longer times than others. But the feeling is the same. They lose a sense of closeness to God or the Spirit and conclude that they no longer have faith. And so they despair even more. St. John of the Cross's insight, which has meant a lot to me, is that the dark night is a special sign of God's presence. Our false God is being stripped away and we're left empty with none of the familiar ideas of God that we create to prop us up. The dark night takes away the background noise we've created in our lives in order to prepare us to hear God's voice later on in God's time. When the dark night comes upon us, we are being invited to surrender to God and to trust him anyway. And of course, this is very hard to do and leads us to why it's called a dark night in the first place, because we have no control over what's happening. We all like to stay in control, especially people like this author with the whole German type A personality thing going on. Darkness takes control away from us, which we hate. This author has several phobias. He shares one with us. Imagine you're hiking along in a wooded trail and you come to an opening in the rocks, a mine shaft. You poke your head in and see a railroad car empty and resting on the tracks. You climb in to see what it might feel like, which sounds like a good idea at the time until your shifting weight nudges the car forward. Before you even know what is happening, you're gathering speed. Within moments, the car is going too fast for you to jump out. Plus, now it's dark and you can't see a thing. You're stuck and you begin to panic. Where's this thing taking you? All you know is you're going down. You're probably going to die, and there's nothing you can do about it. And soon you find out that what you used to call dark gets even darker. You go on like this, faster and faster, deeper and deeper for who knows how long, minutes that seem like hours. But then the slope begins to even out, and the car slows before coming to an even stop. You're now completely alone in a cave, far, far beneath the familiar surface, probably thousands of feet down. All around you is a silence you never knew was possible, enough to hear the blood squishing through your veins. It's so dark that the pitch darkness of even a secluded cabin in the woods would literally be a welcome sight. You're completely disoriented. You have no sense of your surroundings, where the walls are, where the ground rises or falls. And unless you have the emotional capacity of a shrimp, you'd be scared out of your mind, maybe having a panic attack. No problem. I got this. I'll just sit here and I'll work it out calmly. Isn't really a part of your thinking process right now. And finding a way out seems hopeless. You're just wondering whether you should risk moving at all. Eventually you grope around on your knees and take a few steps, gingerly at first, one way then the other, and soon you realize that wherever you are, it's vast, dark, and flat, and you can't do anything about it. And you give an eye and a lung for a flashlight. You're out of control. The dark controls you. That's what the dark does. Well, that's a made-up story. And here's a real one, which changed this author's perspective on faith as much as he can remember. In 1975, a Jesuit philosopher, John Kavanaugh, went to work for 3 months at the Home for the Dying in Calcutta, India, with Mother Teresa. He was searching for an answer to his spiritual struggles. On his very first morning there, he met Mother Teresa. "And what can I do for you?" she asked. Kavanaugh asked her to pray for him. "What do you want me to pray for?" she asked. He answered with what I'm sure he felt was a perfectly reasonable and humble request. In fact, the very reason for which he traveled thousands of miles to India in the first place. "Pray that I have clarity." "No, I will not do that," Mother Teresa said. Kavanaugh asked her why. "Clarity is the last thing you are clinging to and must be let go of." "But you always seem to have clarity." Mother Teresa laughed. "I've never had clarity in my entire life. What I've only had is trust. So I will pray that you will trust God." We light this chalice in the spirit of trust and love, higher power, and one another.
Ryan, you are very good at using this. It takes me a long time. Please join me in reading our covenant. It's in the order of service, so you can follow along. You can either say it out loud or listen, whatever your preference is, but we usually say it all together. Love. is the spirit of this church and service its law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Each month, we donate all loose cash and unmarked checks put in the offering plate to a nonprofit organization whose missions and actions are consistent with the UU principles and the mission of UUYO. For those in the sanctuary, there are silver plates near the exits where you can place your offering as you leave. The share of the plate recipient for July is Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership Garden Resources of Warren, or GROW program, an urban agricultural program that works to address the identified food desert areas of Warren by providing technical support, leadership development, and educational programming for Warren's community gardens, and manages the Warren's Farmers Market. GROW partners with many organizations and community members to increase access to healthy, affordable, locally grown foods. GROW is committed to developing a local and regional food system that reduces food insecurity and creates economic development opportunities. So their Good Food Here program, small convenience stores in the city sell produce. Currently, there are 2 local stores participating in the program. Both locations are interested in increasing the amount of fresh and local foods they supply in their stores for their customers. GROW seeks to continue working with small businesses that would like to expand their current fresh food offerings and the various payment options, including SNAP and WIC. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of Youngstown, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
I wanna live, I wanna give. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. It's these expressions I never give that keeps me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old. Keeps me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old. I've been to Hollywood, I've been to Redwood. I'd cross the ocean for a heart of gold. I've been in my mind, oh, it's such a fine line that keeps me searching for a heart of gold. Keeps me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old. Keeps me searching for a heart of gold. Keep me searching and I'm growing old. Keeps me searching for a heart of gold. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old.
Please join me for one of my favorite parts of the service. We get to be silent for a little bit together, including all our friends on Zoom. And silent can include movement, it can include, thoughts, it can include everything. So just notice your breathing. That's it.
All right. You guys ready to find out what the cards are for? So if you're joining us on Zoom, we're going to engage in a little activity as opposed to a little reading here, a little personal moment of reflection. You could certainly follow along at home on a scrap piece of paper. Those of us here in person today have an index card and hopefully a writing implement in the chair or in your near vicinity. If you're in the back, I stashed some piles right by the flower, right behind there. Yeah, there's a box of pens there too, Louise, right by you. So if you care to participate on that piece of paper, if you want, we'll just take a couple moments of quiet reflection, or on a scrap piece of paper at home, or even just mentally in your head. What we're going to do is I'd like you to just jot down all the significant things that have happened to you in your life. You don't have to show anybody this. They can be good as well as the bad things, just stuff you would deem as important that occurred to you in your life. Maybe you graduated from high school, maybe, back in the dim recesses of the past, or had a child or got married, just the things that you would view as significant. You don't have to show your card to anybody. It can be secrets. And we'll just take a couple moments. They're right down the marriage. I'm a teacher by trade, so I'm just going to check in with you all. Sure, we're still writing. We're not talking to our neighbors or showing them. Lol. Keep that to yourself. Yeah, no cheating. We're going for like 10 double digits. Joseph's got 4, so I've got 17.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I've done this before.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm just shorthanding. Yeah. Some of us are slowing down. I'm seeing a lot more eye contact now. So we'll move on to stage 2. If you want to continue writing down significant things because your hand's cramping, you have so much significance in your life, you haven't gotten there yet. That's a rich life. This is great. But whenever you're prepared, step 2, I'd like you to reflect on your list and simply circle the events that you wrote down that you actively planned for. But do not circle down things that just kind of occurred to you, like the universe brought your way. Like, for example, I think I had planned to get married at some point in time in my life the first time. I did not plan on the divorce. You know what I'm saying? I didn't plan on that. Planned on graduating high school, but I didn't plan after college to go into the AmeriCorps, me personally. That's just something that kind of like, bam, you know, I was thrust into. So circle the things you plan for. Leave uncircled the things that occurred to you. Did anyone circle them all? Oh, one Achilles did. Awesome. Again, a rich life. Got married last week. Congratulations. That was a wonderful little ceremony. Hopefully that was on the list, huh? If not, yeah. If not, Randy's sitting right beside you. You should probably write it down. Just real quick, that marriage part. No, just kidding. So yeah, I mean, like one person. I didn't circle all mine. In fact, I have like 17. I probably have like 4 circled on here. Many of us, if we continued and kind of verbalize our reflections, which we don't need to, perhaps we'd find half, maybe fewer than half of the things on this list were things we actively planned and strove and pursued, as opposed to all these things that just kind of found us where we live. We spend all this time and energy of our life planning it out, trying to make sure that we get it the way it's supposed to be with that script that we invented in our mind or our brain, but that's not really how life works. And for some of us, myself at least, the majority of things that occurred to me are not things that if I closed my eyes when I was 18 or 28 or 38, and I'm older than that I would have been able to even imagine. Good as well as the painful, you know, the positive as well as the learning experiences. And, you know, there's some pause for thought there.
Tim and I would like to do a song for you this morning, what we're using a background track for because the music is just kind of so important to the song that I didn't feel like we could do it justice with just the guitar. So we're going to give this a shot. Wish us luck. Thank you.
Through the fields only to be
struck by the mottos of both Ohio and Pennsylvania. If you notice this, I'm sure many of you actually live in PA, so you probably see this every day, almost. So Pennsylvania's state motto is, pursue your happiness. You've seen that sign? It's beautiful. It's really nice. And Ohio's, as you're coming back, is find it here. And it made me think the relationship, right, between pursuing and finding, and the feeling of pursuing something which we may or may not understand, like happiness, and the feeling of finding what we're seeking. I lose things often. Anyone else? Yeah. I'm not the best at finding I'm not the best at finding things I've lost, and Jennifer can tell you that. It's even harder for me to find something if I didn't put it somewhere myself. Many times my mother would ask me to go into the garage to get something from the cupboard, a can of peas or some jam. And I would go into the garage, cupboards filled with all kinds of canned things. My family was sort of looking forward to Y2K. You know what I mean? Because we had so many canned goods. And I would feel helpless, looking where I was told where I would find something and not being able to find it. It was almost a shameful feeling if I go back to it. You know, that feeling that I should be able to find what most people could probably find if they were here. But I couldn't. And so the routine was, this would happen every so often. I was sent to find something. I don't know why. I would always be sent. And invariably, I couldn't find it. And I would feel helpless. And I would return back and say, I couldn't find it. And then my mother, whoever was asking, would go directly to the cupboard and find what they said they were looking for in seconds. I think it's one of the reasons why I don't accumulate a lot of things. Honestly, it's not a moral choice. I simply can't find what I want when there are many things to sift through. I do well with a few things that I can find easily. And it's amazing how something simple like that can shape a life. Give me a few things I know I can find, and I will be satisfied with a few things. But though things give a certain amount of happiness, they do, I think most would agree that happiness is probably about more than things. We live in a very interesting time when I'm convinced no one really knows what happiness is, yet everyone is convinced we should have it. It's a peculiar cultural thing, especially for Americans. We think, even the most mature of us, that if you're not happy, there is something faulty in your environment. So we have a culture of endlessly tinkering with the environment, and most unable to find what they thought they were seeking, and then blaming the environment for the dissatisfaction. It's very common. I mean, I've done it. I think many of us have done it. It's very common. It's not rare. Or I witness another shift where there can be a story that there was happiness in a time that is now past. It was there, but not in this time. Not in these circumstances. Have you heard that story before? Yeah. Those are the two most common stories I find in myself. and the ones that I hear most often. If only these circumstances could improve a bit, we could be happy. Or, man, I remember the days. Happiness was there. I didn't know it, but it was there. But that time has passed. I've never been too concerned with happiness. Maybe I should. I really don't know. I look back and I see that in moments of dire pain and stress and instability, there have been moments of joy. And I see that in moments of ease and prosperity, I've felt morose sometimes. I don't see a clear pattern. But if someone forced me to say what happiness was to me, probably kind of boring, but I would say ministry and spiritual practice. For me, it's made human life possible. And that's not an overstatement. It's made life possible. I saw that hedonism is very fun. I'm very hedonistic in many ways, but it only takes one so far, at least for me. Chasing pleasure is good, it's human, it's very intoxicating, it can be wonderful, but it can quickly turn pretty exhausting. For some reason, I've been driven to find a no matter what path. You know what I mean by no matter what? What I mean is a path that is true no matter what my circumstances are. Whether I'm materially okay and in great health, whether I'm in declining health, whether I'm feeling hopeful or not feeling hopeful, whether I'm middling and trudging through my life, or really enjoying the moments, the music, as they come. The truth is I can cycle through all of these realities in any given week. Even though they're usually not as extreme as that, but that can happen all in a week. But instead of being driven to pursue a life that depends on a special set of circumstances, I have been driven to find a path that is true in every circumstance. A path that is true in Pennsylvania, true in Ohio, true wherever we may be, and whatever circumstances we find ourselves in. Another slogan that I see, it's on the back of people's cars, is stuck in Ohio. Have you seen this? Yeah. It's a great one. Stuck in Ohio. I see it on the back of cars, especially on the way to PA. I see it enough that there must be some cultural understanding around this, right? A feeling that if I could go somewhere else, I would. But I'm stuck. Stuck in Ohio. I have the image of getting stuck in the mud, or getting stuck in the snow. Have you had that experience? When you try to get out, but you're literally just spinning your wheels, right? I've definitely dealt with that frustration. The feeling of, get me out of here. There's got to be somewhere else. But since moving to Ohio, and this might be just personal to me, so I've had this eerie sense that whatever it is I've been seeking, I think I can find it here. Which is why I noticed that state sign. Find it here. And I think it has something to do with the specialness of this place, but I think it's true for every place. Where our life is a special place. It sounds very simple. That's why I said it kind of slowly. It's very simple. But where our life is a special place. And if we change our circumstances, go somewhere else, that will also be special, because that's where our life will be. But it's equally special. It's not more special. For where our life is a special place, no matter where our life is. Whether we think we're at the beginning of our chapters, in the middle, or the end, whether we have goals 5 years from now, where our life is a special place. Part of that specialness of this place is that we get to pursue what we need to pursue, including happiness. But I'm becoming increasingly convinced that the only place that happiness can be lived is where our life actually is. Again, very simple logic. But the only place happiness can be lived is where we actually live. It doesn't exist for us in another life. It's in the one we have. The one we wish would be better or different, or the one we may be fine with, actually, for this moment. And I can't help but wonder, what would our culture and our world be like if we invested as much energy in appreciating what we already have as we do in trying to pursue something that we feel has not arrived yet? I can't help but wonder, what would it feel like as a culture if, instead of waiting for problems to resolve themselves, we could appreciate each other in the midst of our problems right now? I can't help but wonder what it would be like if we collectively could find happiness where we are, even in trying circumstances. I don't think happiness is lying to ourselves. Saying that bad things are good, or that we shouldn't be upset, or that we shouldn't be worried. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's just the growing sense that whatever is worth finding can be found here. Whatever is worth finding. I've said many times before that Youngstown is one of the greatest places in the world. Why? Because we have what we need to love each other. And what do we need to love each other? Nothing more than recognizing that we're alive along with everyone else. And our problems are opportunities for compassion. And that as a community, we can realize that possibility together. We don't need to wait for a world without problems. In fact, I think if we do, we'll be waiting lifetimes. I think we can appreciate our problems for what they are. Opportunities for love. Opportunities for compassion. And that love is inexhaustible. It's endless. That's my feeling anyway. And I felt that here in Ohio. I trust the pursuit, though. I think the pursuit can be good. Without the pursuit, I don't think we can find ourselves here. I think each of us has to pursue what we need to pursue. And in the end, that pursuit will lead us here. So both slogans have wisdom. Pursue your happiness and find it here. They go together. I didn't plan to be in Ohio. That was one of the things on my list. It was not a plan. It wasn't a life goal. It could have been, but it wasn't. And yet it's one of the most wonderful things that has happened to me. And I found that joy for me is often like that. It's not just in the things I planned, but things that happen. I do find satisfaction in the things that I planned. I do. There's a quiet joy in that. But there's another kind of joy when all of a sudden you go into your backyard and deer are eating all your vegetables. Or you get a nice phone call from a friend you haven't talked to in 6-7 years. Or the clouds part just as you walk outside and an overcast day becomes sunny. There's kind of a grace to it, a feeling that I didn't do anything to earn or deserve this. It just is. And it's wonderful. And that's the only tricky part of pursuit or pursuing happiness for me. The assumption that we can earn it or we can deserve it. And if other folks are not happy, well, I guess they didn't earn it. I guess they didn't put the work in. Of course, most people don't really think like this. I don't think any of you do. But it's a kind of built-in assumption that life is something we can make happen. I can build a life worth living. And if I'm dissatisfied, well, blame the constructor. I didn't build it right. Instead of taking a step back and wondering if our assumptions might be a bit simplistic. What if our orientation is not to try to minimize the amount of problems in our life? What if our orientation was not just to have as much pleasure as possible and the least amount of pain as possible, which is human? What if instead our orientation was to see how our circumstances could be opportunities for compassion, self-compassion, and compassion for others? That reorientation, it doesn't give us less problems, but in a sense it does. It gives us one less problem. The belief that it's a problem to have problems. And that, in my estimation, is the role of a place like this. To give us a different orientation to the usual way that we live our life. It's a place where we can start to become curious, wonder. We start to become curious. Perhaps love is here. Perhaps opportunities for care are here. Perhaps my circumstances are not in the way. Perhaps what I'm looking for is here. And the nice thing about a church like this is you don't need to believe any of that. No one will force you. I certainly won't. Curiosity is enough for me. Curiosity and doubt. I'll take curiosity and doubt over certainty any day. I think the trouble is when we're certain that what we're really seeking is certainly not here in this life we're actually living. Certain. That kind of certainty can be very hard to deal with. But curiosity, doubt, those put a nice wedge into our certainty. And that small wedge is enough. It's enough to transform us. just a little bit of doubt that perhaps our life is not a mistake. Maybe not. What if it's an opportunity? A possibility we have yet to realize. And again, there's no need to believe that. Just doubting our certainty is enough. I think it's good to doubt, I think. We have a nice container for doubt here, you know? We have coffee and snacks, two of my favorite doubt companions. We have a wonderful community on Zoom. I recommend to all our Zoomers, as well as everyone here, talk to each other. It's so easy to feel we are in our own world, you know? Zooming in like we're watching television and zooming out, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's nice to get to know people. It's nice to talk, just even a little bit. I think pursuing and finding are two sides of the same coin, and it's good to see both sides. It's good to not be complacent and do what we can for ourselves and for each other. And when we fall short of expectations, which is inevitable, it's good to be reminded that it's already here, that we're supported. We're not trying to be superheroes. We're just trying to be human. That's how I see it. And it's a funny thing, right? We're human without even trying. And yet to live fully as a human takes effort. But it's a good kind of effort. It's an effort not to get somewhere else or be somebody else. It's an effort to appreciate who we already are, to appreciate what we have, and to share who we are with the world. It's to open up the windows and let the sun shine in. It's to feel the wonder and joy of eating and not take for granted that we have company, both in person and virtually, and to feel that we are supported in what we're going through no matter what. That support is sometimes obvious in a community like this, and sometimes it's less obvious, but it's here. It's here in the moment that we're actually in. It's here in the circumstances we're in. It's here in this room, and even better, it's here when we leave the room. I wish you all the best in all of your pursuits. I really mean that. Whatever they are. And for those who are tired and growing less hopeful in the pursuit, I hope you remain curious about what you might find here. And the nice thing is, you don't have to be the only one who has to find it for yourself. If you're like me, we can help each other perhaps find what we missed, what we couldn't find ourselves. Please pray with me. Spirit of love, so grateful for all the people in service today. Amazing. All of our tech crew, Tim Malone, Andy Crabb, Tim Raridan, our wonderful Bono, even better than Bono, in my opinion. Jeff Krause, Brian Striefler, and all the people who made it out today, all the people who, this is their first time, second time, third time, people who've been coming here for decades, 50 years or more. So grateful for all of them. Please help us to enjoy each other's company afterward, over coffee and snacks. Help us to appreciate the sunshine and to feel good together. And know that whatever we're going through, know there's a community for us, to walk with us and be with us, to journey with us. All this we pray. Amen. And please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn.
senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power and being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim a quest for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we meet again.
Please remember the one great fact. You are loved and never truly alone.
Bumpy ride, we keep sliding down and gliding down. Try not to try too hard, just a lovely ride. The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time.